Guys, I have some toys for you today. So if you don't like toys, you probably need to get out now. So, because I'm the toy and candy guy in the hobby, as most of you know. Yeah, I'm Russ Van, Garbage Gangster, Garbage Archive, all that good shit. But I'm going to show you some new things I just discovered. They just came in yesterday. I actually revealed them on Blockstars Live. But the marketplace is another home of mine, so I'm going to give y'all my rundown of these newly discovered cheap toy finger puppets. These are some vintage toys that was just discovered in the past week. So I can't wait. But I laid out some other GPK toys just to give you, to cleanse your palate. So what we're talking about is, not cards today. We're talking about anytime they made a figurine. There's been all kinds of figurines. There's some you can buy in Walmart right now. They still make Garbage Pail Kid toys to this day, right? They're making Trashy Treasures. Now, Trashy Treasures is not a toy. This is a statuette. It's made out of resin. But these would fall, these are still statuettes, but, kids do actually play with stuff like this. And you can actually, I've seen where kids have broken the bases off and played, not with these, but with other franchises, and they'll just play with them and stuff. So, but anyway, but yeah, Topps has been making Garbage Pail Kid toys since 1987. That's January of 1987 is when they produced Cheap Toys, the first batch of them. You will be learning more about cheap toys in the upcoming almanac, issue number 5. Part of the almanac coming up will be dedicated to cheap toys. So I'm particularly excited about that, obviously. These are mannequins. These came out in 2013 to 2014 with Series 2. Beautiful as well, just really small. And they made them out of rubber, which is a little strange. They're a little hard to handle. But I'm going to show you what just came in yesterday, what's just been discovered. You will not believe the new characters you are fixing to see. So these characters are being added to the GPK toy canon. I'm super fucking excited. I'm rambling a little bit. I'm waiting for a couple more people to get in here. It's showing me I have 2 people. So I'm going to wait just a minute. But yeah, I got some other shit I can show you while we wait. Yeah, I just threw some shit together. Yeah, so I don't know if any of you guys like cheap toys or collect cheap toys, but they can be very expensive. You'll be seeing a price guide in the upcoming almanac of cheap toys. It's the first price guide we've ever had for cheap toys. I personally don't think we need a price guide, but I get there's a lot of like random people that come in and out of the hobby, and maybe they need some sort of guide, but whatever. I don't see any newbies that want to spend hundreds of dollars on one little plastic toy, you know what I'm saying? So I don't think we really need a price guide, but it's not, it's nice to have, I guess. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at the first one. I'm going to put a new little display up. Give me 1 second to set up. Now there's 12 of these finger puppets. They're all made of plastic. What else? Okay, I need this. And they're all made out of a red material. Seems to be, like a red material. All right, guys, so I'm going to start right now. Let's go ahead and look at the first finger puppet. You're going to notice the size of them. We're going to compare them to cheap toys and mannequins, so you'll get an idea of how big these are. They're super tiny, yet not too tiny. So let's start with the first one. I'm going to give you a second to figure out which character this is. This one's pretty easy. Five seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. This is definitely Bloated Blair or Swollen Sue Ellen. She has never been made in toy form. We now have what's probably a late 80s, early 90s plastic finger puppet. Now the backs of these have a hole in them to put your finger on, just like this. These have never been found before. So I'm super excited to have these in to add to the toy collection, to the toy archive. house basically the hobby's toy archive at this point. So, but anyway, there's a bloated Blair number 1. Okay, the next one. Actually, let me get organized here. Okay. So I'll give you just a second to figure out this character. Pretty easy. He's iconic. 3 seconds. 3, 2, 1. Yeah, clearly exploring Norman. I will say an amateur would have made the finger longer than it is in the toy. You can tell this was done professionally by an actual sculptor who knows the ins and outs of molding and the complications that can arise from it. And naturally, you'll see this on some other of the sculpts. He would either omit parts, like, things that stick out or whatever, change them or whatever. All right, the next one. One of my favorites. I'll give you 5 seconds on this. What character is this? 4, 3, 2, 1. Wrinkled Rita. A classic OS2 character. Now, she turns out to be the oldest. I know she's old, like she's a grandma, but like she's the oldest character in all of the 12 figures, as you'll see. But she is definitely one of my favorites. Beautiful sculpt here. So fucking professional. One thing I noticed immediately yesterday, that these are injection molded. These are not molded by some weirdo in his basement. This was made in a factory. The next one. Okay, who's that? Pretty easy, right? 3, 2, 1. Yeah, clearly mouthfeel. Now, mouthfeel has been made before. You can see mouthfeel. I'll grab him real quick. He was made in Series 2 Cheap Toys. You're looking at a figure. This is probably about a $600 toy, maybe even more. And as you can see, he now has his own finger puppet. You're also seeing the size of these plastic finger puppets. They're pretty large. And in January, we will be getting another mouthfeel in a Madball form. Yeah, I've been waiting almost a year for my Madball toys to come in. So, they took your money, right? And then they're like, well, you got to wait a year. All right, the next one up. Who's that? 3, 2, 1. Yeah, Frankenstein or Undead Jed. He now has his own toy. This was a character that was sorely missing in toy form. We've been needing this character for a minute. Notice they left off the springs off his head, because any pro knows you can't mold that, man. There's no reason to risk that. This isn't something they're going to take a risk on. But you can see the quality of these. They're just unbelievable. They were smoothed here so that little children's fingers can go in there without getting cut. And they're for the size of children's fingers. Really, jokes aside, my pinky will only fit in most of these, like, comfortably. But because they were made for kids. And we'll talk a little bit more about that in just a minute. So let's take a look. Here's the next one. Who's that? Now, I had to dig around to figure out who this was. So I'm going to give you 5 seconds. What GPK character does this represent? Wow, look at the craftsmanship. Unbelievable. And the production of it. It's not just the sculpt. it's the quality of how they cast it. This is not something you can make yourself. Okay, this was geriatric. One thing I'm noticing, or what I noticed when I saw them all, they're kind of random. Like there's no atom bomb finger puppet that's been discovered at this point. There's no nasty neck. There's some super kind of randomish characters here, and it's going to get worse before it gets better. All right, here's the next one. Who the fuck is that? Sorry about the glare. Let's try that angle. 5, 4, 3, 2. Man, look at that surface. My guys that are out there that are toy people, you're not just card people, you're toy people, you know what that surface is. And if you saw that listing, you could see the surface so good. Those were beautiful photos. You knew that it was special. Anyway, that is Ashley Trey has his own toy now. His own vintage GPK finger puppet has just been discovered. Ashley Trey. Okay, next up. It's going to get weirder before it gets better. Who the hell is that? Look carefully at this character. This was probably the hardest one to find, at least for me. Let me point out that he has 2 mouths. That's one mouth. That's not his tongue. That's an extra mouth. He has 3 eyeballs, and he has weird ears with craters on his head or something on his face or whatever. While you're figuring this out, imagine being 10 years old and getting this. All right, the answer. Interstellar Stella or Alien Alan has his own toy now. His own vintage toy. This isn't some fan bullshit. This is a real factory-made, injection-molded, classic, undiscovered, probably from a Hong Kong Chinese factory, possibly made by Jimmy Chan at Novelty Candy Works. Holy fuck. I can't help but realize that he joins other Alien GPK toys that are very beloved. Alien Ian Galoob prototype. Spacey Stacy cartoon Galoob prototype. I love the Alien ones. All right. Alien Alan has been added to the GPK toy canon. All right, next up. Who the hell is that? This one was pretty hard to find too. Really hard to find too. The giveaway though was the mouth. There's something going on with their mouth, and that helped me find her. 5 seconds. Who is this classic Garbage Pail Kid character? Another hint is this is a classic Warhola piece. James Warhola character. 2, 1. Definitely Gnawing Nora now has her own Canon Garbage Pail Kid toy. Look at the quality. Wow. Okay, we've got 3 more. Next up. You probably don't need any time on this, so let's get to it. Pumpkin Duncan or Jack O' has his own official toy. He has been made in fan. There's a fan one of this, but never a real deal professional one. That's vintage. Man. Just in time for Halloween season. All right, next up, proud to introduce what's been sorely missing from Cheap Toys. But finally, we have our Cheap Toy Bony Tony finger puppet. Weird as hell. Just bizarre. Sorry I didn't give you time. You knew who that was, right? I mean, we didn't need time to know that's Bony Tony. Weird as hell. I mean, let's compare it to the card just side by side. Look at the stylization. The head was made outstretched. That's because how you feel plastic in an injection mold is different from someone at home who has like little resin molds. You would never risk an undercut because you're trying to make money. You don't want to waste materials playing around, jacking around with holes in your toys. Like he sculpted this so this could be spit out in a factory. The only risk he really took was those little deep little pockets there, and they came out fine because they're smooth. Yeah, I don't know if you guys have art backgrounds or what, but you know what undercuts are, and you know the difficulties that come when you're molding something. Guys, my favorite one I saved for the end. I cannot believe they made this in toy form. You're not going to believe the character. Holy shit, when I saw this. Well, when I saw these, I can tell you what time of day it was. I can tell you the temperature of my house. I can tell you the light in my room. It was that kind of moment when these popped up on eBay. It's one of those unforgettable, just collecting moments of my life for these toys. I can't believe these have been discovered. Take a look at the final one. It's not what you expect. It's not what you wanted. It's something that you didn't even know you wanted. Take a look. Lucy fucking Lockett is a Canon GPK vintage toy now, and she's perfect. One of the greatest GPK toys ever made, in my opinion. She definitely joins the likes of Alice Island as some of the most perfect sculpts ever made. Joins the likes of Still Jill Novo Bonbon. Super happy I get to show you guys that. Joins the likes of Spacey Stacy. But you might like some other ones, I don't know. Just my opinion, my expert opinion. So one more thing I want to talk about before I go, and that's what these are and what they mean, okay? So I'm putting this shit back. I want to move this display as well. Let me take these guys off here. I think my least favorite, by the way, is Ashley Trey. They probably shouldn't have made him because they couldn't make the mouth deep enough. Do you know why the mouth was made so shallow? Jokes aside. Because there's a hole going through the back of it. And so they had to have the hole big enough to fit a child's finger in. But the mouth couldn't be deep enough to capture that shadow that's needed. I mean, it looks pretty good from some angles. But anyway, it's my least favorite. It's not very distinct either. Oh, one more thing. They put the ash marks on his face. That should not be on his face. There was no marks on his face. Like, it was just like smudge. You don't have to draw smudge in a sculpture. So that was an amateur move. But, you know, not everything's perfect. All right, let me move this. I'm going to conclude and tell you kind of what these are and what they mean and all that. Okay, if you if you purchase the upcoming issue of the Marketplace Almanac, you'll learn about cheap toys. I wrote an article in there, me and Mark Newgarden. He's the producer of Cheap Toys and Garbage Pail Kids, co-producer of Garbage Pail Kids, but the main producer of Cheap Toys. But what you'll learn is that these were made to be cheap, and this color is a basic cheap color that's made for all cheap toys. So now you would call these cheap toys because they come in vending capsules. So I've got one here. Do you think these would fit in a vending capsule? The one I'm holding is a 50-cent one. So this would go in a machine that each unit costs 50 cents. That means you would need 2 quarters to get this size capsule. Okay. So let's see if the finger puppets fit in a 50-cent capsule, vending capsule. Take the star. Clearly. In fact, it's way too big. In fact, I could fit 3 of these boys in there. Sorry, I'm using my left hand to try to do all this. That's what she said. Okay, let's see. Prop that up. Yeah, I can maybe even fit a 4th one right there. So these were not 50-cent items. These probably went into the quarter capsules, but I don't have one to show you. So these were probably not, and yeah, you wouldn't pay 50 cents for this. This was a quarter item. And so that's one clue. Another clue is I want to show you again this cheap red color. So I have a box of candy containers from the 80s. And these are just common red. There's your Topps garbage candy. Topps Robo, whatever his name is, Space Fleet, Fleer, Big Blast, Ghetto Blaster candy, Fleer Doghouse candy, Mailbox, Jay Lynch's Munchie Mummies. You guys remember Bubble Burger? Sorry about the glare. There you go. Bubble Burger. Guys remember Mr. Bones? So if you look at them, they're the same fucking color. That's because this is the cheap basic red color. This is what you use to make vending toys and vending things that are meant to be sold as an impulse buy and then go into the trash. They're supposed to be cheap. And this is like one of the cheapest colors you can make. And it's called a lot of things, but I mean the main thing they call it is basic red or common red or cheap toy red. And they make pretty much everything with this one red color, and including the finger puppets, including the cheap toys and all that. Oh, I just realized that's cheap fucking red too. And so you'll be learning more about that in the almanac. But I hope you enjoyed that. I can't believe we finally have these toys. One thing that's really cool is they stand on their own. They're not just spheres that can roll around. They actually stand up. They were made to be propped up and used as finger puppets. And my gut is maybe 1992 on these. And probably, definitely Hong Kong. Now, one issue we have is the company should have had the license to make Garbage Pail Kid characters. There's only one company that had that at the time, who had the green light for GPK toys, and that was Candy Novelty Works in Hong Kong, who was run by Jimmy Chan and his family, the maker of cheap toys. So if these are 80s or 90s, they could pretty much only come from one place, unless these are complete fucking bootlegs. But they didn't try to hide these characters. They look like perfect representations of the real characters, you know, the cards. So there's going to be some mystery surrounding these for a while. I'm definitely going to be studying these for however long it takes to figure out who made these and where they came from and all that info. But, you know, the chances of that happening is pretty slim. We still don't even know the ins and outs of cheap toys, you know, not all of it. But, yeah. So, guys, that's all I got. Hope you enjoyed that. Go out there and See what you can find. Sorry about Sapphire too. You know, I gave it a go. I gave it a go on Wednesday. I got on there, even though I don't even collect the cards really. I mean, we all have cards. We all have cards. I have boxes and boxes and boxes of fucking garbage pail cards. We all have cards, but I don't collect them. You know, per se, I don't like constantly worry about the cards. You can see what I collect, but so I wasn't really worried. You know, it did suck losing a couple of hours on Wednesday, and then them announcing they're not even going to release them on Wednesday. So I didn't even try yesterday. So I wasn't worried about it. I done quit. So yeah, and I noticed the hobby's been really slow this morning. So I don't know, man. Do we need to do a roll call? I mean, there were some people that was really depressed yesterday. I don't want to, you know. I'm a little worried. I mean, I bet alcohol consumption went up last night. All these disappointed collectors. I don't know, man. We might have to do a roll call here. Is everyone accounted for in the hobby? I know there's a lot of depressed Sapphire collectors out there. People quitting left and right. So, yeah, I think we need to check on our members, man. But just know it's okay because there's stuff like these out there still waiting to be found. Can you believe that there was a wrinkled Randy toy lost for over 30 years? What else is out there? Russ Fan, out.